Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the big matches thus far which have taken place over there in the Euros. And of course, we'll be also looking ahead to two massive games coming up tomorrow, Portugal versus the Czech Republic. And we also have another game in that group. But of course, joining me this evening to review these matches and to ultimately look ahead to the other set of fixtures, we have resident analyst Christoph returning to the podcast.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph, we have some games which have been eye-opening thus far, and we also have a number of games coming up, of course, tomorrow, Georgia versus Turkey, and of course, everyone will be looking forward to seeing the return of Cristiano Ronaldo. They take on the Czech Republic. But jumping in, Christoph, the Euros are fully operational at this moment, and the games are coming thick and fast. They are coming so quickly. We are unable to go through each game individually. But what we'll be doing is just to take a look at all those results thus far and just giving our comments on those. But of course, the big one, the one with the highest score line thus far, that one, host Germany, really pegging back Scotland in that group. Germany running away 5-1 winners, Christoph. How did you see that game?
We kind of expected a low scoring game, for the opener, to be honest. Didn't expect Scotland to win, but I did not expect there to be a blowout of 5-1, to be honest. Um, I think for Germany, the key was Tony Cruz really bossing the game, getting on the ball, controlling play, spreading the ball, and finding those passes. I think Scotland failed to lock him down, failed to stop him, and as such, we saw the result. We saw goals from Kai Havertz as well as him getting an assist. It looks like his move to Arsenal has kind of revitalized him as a player at the moment, and we're seeing the fruits of that right now.
Definitely a player in red hot form. And of course, Scotland went down to 10 men as well, Christoph. So, I mean, the score may have said 5-1, but it was really 11 versus 10 in all honesty. And of course, the Germans playing at home, getting what you could classify as an early lead and really setting the cats among the pigeons in that one. But of course, you have a team in front of you. You have to take them apart if needs be. And of course, this is a tournament, so you can never tell what may happen in the future. If you get a team to beat 5 or 6, you have to take advantage of that, as goal difference may play a factor later on in the group stages as well. But definitely, Germany, job well done. 3 points in the bag. They move on to their next fixture. But of course, Christoph, there's another game in that group. Switzerland running away 3-1 winners over Hungary. What did we see from those two teams?
I'm not sure I saw very much from Hungary, but very impressed by Switzerland, especially given that a number of their big name players had, aged out and kind of retired. But we did see Granit Xhaka kind of bossing that game and being very effective. Um, I know I'm not sure we expected much from Hungary in this
Yeah, I
game,
mean,
but
for me, I definitely expected Hungary to really put up a stiff fight, but it seemed as if Sobasai may have been nursing a slight knock, and the emphasis for the Swiss was definitely in keeping him contained, which they did quite effectively. He did get an assist for that consolation goal for the Hungarians, but it seemed as if this Switzerland team, Christoph, they have now developed a culture of rising to the occasion at world tournaments. They've done it at the World Cup. They've done it the Euros in the past, and they're doing it again here, really getting a very well-deserved victory over Hungary. And they, along themselves with Germany, look like the primed two team to really advance to the next round after this opening fixture. But definitely, I expect to see something from the Hungarians, and possibly if they can get a few good results, they may finish as one of the better third place teams, but they have no easy task, as I believe they still have the Germans to play. And it's really an uphill battle for this Hungary team at this point in time.
I mean, I don't particularly see them getting one over Germany, to be honest. So, and I don't see them being one of the better players. Top three teams because we have the likes of Croatia who could potentially be one of those because I believe when we reviewed I said I didn't see them coming out of the group not because I think they're a bad team or anything like that but most of their main players have kind of aged out. I mean what Modric is what like 39 I believe and it did look we saw those youngsters for Spain basically running rampant.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Spain running away 3-0 winners. It was youth versus experience, and definitely it was the youthful exuberance of the Spanish team, which took the Croatians by surprise and ramped them 3-0 in that first half, and it was game set and match by halftime. No need to go gung-ho in the second half, and it remained 3-0 at the end. But definitely the Croatians really looking battle worn in all honesty, Christoph.
it's a case of when your star player, your main player who is Modric is let's say he's lost most of his athleticism at this point. You have to balance your squad around him with the right amount of energy in order to take advantage of his technical skill set. That doesn't appear to be the issue for Croatia. I mean, that doesn't appear to be the case for Croatia right now. So we saw where, Spain, who is very young, athletic, very technically gifted squad, just running away with that game.
Definitely. Spain really come into the party in no uncertain terms and really laying down a marker. And the next big team in that group, Christoph, Italy as well, they had to fight their way from behind, getting better of Albania, 2-1, two cracking strikes, I must say, from the Italians. And that was enough to get them a victory over the Albanians. But what did we see from this Italian team, Christoph? Do they look a good match for Spain? And can they continue their winning ways and get out of this group, which is stacked with these quality teams?
Aside from that early defensive mistake, this Italian team looked very good to me. They look very robust. They look very sound defensively. We saw where they got that goal from Bastoni, the set piece, and we saw Barella scoring from open play. I think if anything, for me, their issue might be in the creative department. We didn't see that against Albania, but against a tougher opposition, we might see that being highlighted. I'm not sure the likes of Jorginho alone is enough to keep things ticking for them in the creative department. Obviously, there are other players there, but I think they will struggle against better equipped opposition than Albania. I mean, it was a defensive mistake that kind of led to Albania getting that goal. So
Right, right.
we
Yeah, a
have to wait
well-taken
and
goal.
see.
In all honesty, definitely defensive mistake. Poor throwing there by DeMarco on that left-hand side of the Italian defense gave the Albanians a crack at Donnarumma goal. And if not for some heroics late in that game as well, Christoph, the Albanians could have easily equalized. It was a last-ditch save by Donnarumma, Buffon Jr., which kept the Italians, in terms of getting that victory. So kudos to the goalkeeper there, but definitely it just goes to show that you can take no team lightly in this Euros. Every team has quality players who can definitely rise to the occasion, and it will come down to small details, small margins, and that was the case here. A cracking strike there, I must say, a one-time finish by Barella, early contender Christoph for goal of the tournament. It has my vote thus far, and other scorers will be hard pressed to get a better finish than that one from the Italian. But we move. So there you go. Italy getting a win there, and also Spain. And then we move on to the next group, Poland, Netherlands. The Netherlands running away 2-1 winners. Christoph, what did we see from this Dutch team? Do they have the pedigree and the quality to go deep in this competition?
We did see where the Netherlands really bossed that game. They had control of it, start to finish, in my opinion. They did have a lot of shots on goal, but the majority of these were off target. To be honest, I believe they had maybe 4 shots on target and like 13 off target, which it's fine to be creating those chances, but you do need to hit that target. And if this continues, could be an issue for them in the latter stages of the competition. But very good opener for them. They control the game, they boss that game. Um, I would say they are potentially lucky that Lewandowski was injured because there were a number of chances that Poland created. Where had it been Lewandowski, there's no doubt in my mind that these would have been goals.
Definitely, definitely. Missing a quality finisher there in the likes of a Lewandowski. Definitely a big miss for this Polish team. And, their miss has benefited this Dutch team in terms of them galvanizing and really getting a victory. Uh, it was a good game from the Dutch, as you mentioned, dominated possession and created a few good chances. But as you say, the finishing or the lack of quality finishing may be their downfall. But I believe they should have enough to get out of the group, indeed. And we saw in the other game in that zone, we have Slovenia drawing with Denmark 1-1. Definitely that game I expected to be low scoring, and so said, so done. Two teams which pretty much canceled each other down. Two robust team, two very well coached team, very hard to play against and very physical. So that one ending in a 1-1. Did we see anything special from either of these teams, Christoph? Did anything catch your eye in that fixture?
Um, I would probably say the robustness of how these both teams actually played, I found to be quite interesting. I will probably talk about the something similar I saw in the Belgium game today. But these teams, they kept their shape, they kept their discipline, and I think that is what has impressed me. I have not seen that really from the other big teams in the tournament, except from perhaps Germany. But you kind of expect that type of play from Germany. But the bigger teams I'm seeing, they look to lack that positional discipline. I don't know if it's a case of positions not really mattering anymore and just trying to overload the opposition. But um when we speak about the Belgium game, I can talk on what I'm referring to more.
Indeed, indeed. Definitely a big upset today in that Belgium game, but we're getting there. We're getting there, Christoph. Don't jump the gun. We're getting there, but definitely a big upset there. And the other game, England getting a 1-0 victory over Serbia, a team stacked with attacking players, Christoph. But to me, Southgate is failing to really get the right balance in that team. We saw Trent Arnold-Alexander, for example, starting in the heart of the midfield and possibly against better quality opponent. His fragilities as a makeshift midfielder could possibly be exposed, but one could say job well done. 3 points in the bag. Getting on the score sheet was Jude Bellingham. We spoke about him in the build-up to this Euros, Christoph, that he is a potential Ballon d'Or candidate if he can really carry this English team deep into this competition. And thus far, he is off the mark in a brilliant header there to give England a 1-0 victory. But Christoph, what did you see that I didn't see? Is this the year of the English?
If I were to base it off of the first game, I would say no. Uh, I mean, it's not time to panic yet for England. I mean, I also don't
Well,
don't
it will
panic
be
it. I
hard to
mean,
panic after the first game having won that game as well.
right. The problem is, they win 1-0. So in Gareth Southgate's head, it's probably, hey, what I'm doing is
Job
working.
well
But
done, job well done.
right, but the problem is, will this work against a stronger opposition, somebody who will actually break you down and do damage, so to speak? Because again, like we said, the attacking threat from England, it looked poor. This is a game that they potentially should have been running away with.
Well, I
And
mean, the Serbs did come very organized, in all honesty, Christoph. It's a organized team. This is a Serbian team with a number of quality players. Milinkovic Savic, for example, he is one of their top. midfield generals. And
I
this
mean,
team.
I think the real danger from Serbia was probably the two frontmen, Mitrovic and Vlahovic. Mitrovic, especially, looking very dangerous in that game, getting a number of chances, but failing to find the back of the net. I suspect we'll see better from him in the coming games. But I'm actually at this moment, no, I'm actually potentially expecting the Serbia team to go through. Not necessarily as a second place team, but I think they'll be one of the better place, third place teams, if nothing else. I expect to see them in the next round.
Definitely. They should take some confidence, even though they came away losers, but definitely they gave a good showing of themselves, with the odds stacked against them. Many persons were expecting a total dominant performance by the English, but it was not to be. And they stuck in there, could not find the equalizer, but all is not lost. All is definitely not lost. And then, of course, Christoph, we round up by coming to the games which took place today. Uh, so we first up we saw Romania running away 3-0 winners over Ukraine. And I must say, Christoph, I was very, what should I say? I was very surprised that the Romanian defense, in all honesty, a very stout defensive performance and also getting 3 goals in the back of the net. What did you see from this team? Does Ukraine have any chance of making it through? I mean, Romania 3-0 winners and looking really good, I would say.
Um, if I recall, I think Lunin kind of had a horror game, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, two clear-cut errors there, which led to 2 goals.
Right. So it's not necessarily that Ukraine was particularly awful to say, but when you're having the keeper making those errors, um, there's not much the rest of the team can do except perhaps score goals. But then when you have such a brilliant defensive display from Romania, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that Spurs defender, Christoph. I can't. Dragovic, I think is his name. I mean, he was the man of the match. It was a case of thou shall not pass, showing everything on the kitchen sink at the Romanian forwards, coming up with a number of quality blocks and tackles. You could say those tackles were worth a goal themselves. And it was really a team effort in keeping this Ukraine team at bay. I must say, a stout and impressive defensive performance from this Romanian team. And they're going to be hard pressed to beat this team with the sort of confidence they would have taken from this game going forward as well. But I mean, Ukraine themselves, I thought, they look a shadow of themselves, in all honesty. I can't really see them making it out of this group. I think they will just bow out at this stage unless they have a major turnaround. But they really looked a defeated bunch, in all honesty. But stranger things have happened. They have the opportunity to bounce back, and definitely their destiny is still in their own hands. But of course, Christoph, the big upset of the Euros thus far, Belgium going down 1-0 to Slovakia. Christoph, talk to us about that game. We saw where 2 Lukaku goals were also ruled out in that one.
Perhaps if there was no VAR, Belgium would have won that game 2-1. But unfortunately for them, those were both goals were rightly ruled out, I would say.
I agree. I
Um,
agree.
I thought it was a brilliant first goal from Slovakia. Who was it that scored again? Sharans. Sharans, yeah. Um, Brilliant for them. What you saw or what I saw in that game was Slovakia knew that the Belgium defense was weak and pressed them very, very high up the field in that first half. If you go back and you look at highlights of that game, you'll see there was a very big gap for Belgium between that defense and the midfield and the attack. There was nobody there dropping deep to receive the ball. So the defense was just under pressure, having to go along and then just losing possession again. Um, we know it's a game that Belgium should have won, being the better team, better attacking options, but I think they were just out tactic by the Slovakians. Second half, I think it was a case where they probably should have told Kevin De Bruyne, "Hey, drop deep and
Play
receive and bring the
a
ball."
deep line playmaker role, so to speak.
Instead of that, right? Because there was nobody bringing the ball forward. Again, just go and look at some highlights. You will see there was a big gap between. There were. It seems they were expecting perhaps the defenders to carry the ball out for them. That did not work. Half time, you go in, you drop Kevin De Bruyne a deep. Tell him, hey, play deep, drop to the defense, get the ball, carry, and control the game from there. But we didn't see that. We saw him stay high. We saw him going out to the left side, probably switching with Trossard a lot, for me, and it just didn't work for them. We saw, I mean, technically they scored 2 goals, but they were ruled out for whatever reason. So it's not that they're not creating
Well,
chances.
I mean, clearly ruled out. One was for a handball in the build-up,
I mean,
and the
yeah, clearly ruled
other
out.
was for offside,
No,
left back foot.
I'm not
So
saying clearly ruled out, but it's a case
definitely
where
rightfully ruled out. So we
rightfully
have to
ruled
give
out.
credit to VAR. I must say credit to
Yeah,
VAR, and
credit
I
to
really
VAR.
like the use of VAR in this European competition. Thus far, we see almost a semi-automated system. We're not seeing lines on any field again, Christoph. What we're seeing is a 3D representation of the player. And then that is giving the viewers like us a real visual as to why the call is made for offside or not. In addition to that, we see the referees, whenever they go to the screen, is giving an explanation to the audience, to the fans in the stadium, so they understand also the reason behind the decision making. And I think that is excellent for the game going forward. Hopefully the bigger leagues will also adapt this use of VAR in their leagues.
Right, I highly doubt the Premier League will want to admit that they were wrong and try to introduce it. To be honest, but it remains to be seen.
And I mean, Belgium did go down 1-0, Christoph, but all is not lost. They still have 2 games ahead of them, but for sure they need a result in their next game. Otherwise, it's curtains for this team. But for sure, the fragility of this team is really in the defense. It was a glaring defensive error, which led to that strike from Slovakia. And in addition to that, as you mentioned, in some cases it was a case of lack of finishing, and in other cases it was a case of all bark and no bite, especially from the likes of a Doku. For example, Christoph, we saw a Doku playing on the right hand side of the Belgium attack,
But there
really
was not
looking menacing, but no
not
end
much end
product.
product.
No end product, no assists, no goals, no chances being created. It was a case of beating a defender trying to cross, the cross being blocked, or something of that nature, being tackled up, losing the ball, so looking menacing, looking dangerous, but no
Right.
end product at the end of the
I
day.
I thought we would have seen the likes of Doku withdrawn earlier, to be honest. But the manager must know what he's doing. I suspect, but um, I also suspect not, given how long it took him to try and effect some changes in that game. Especially given what was happening on the pitch. So I don't know with them. Uh,
Definitely much to ponder in terms of
would
this Belgian team,
I
and
I
of
would
course their
say
setup
I've
also.
lost faith in that team, to be honest.
I think they have enough quality to turn things around. For example, I would not play two out and out defensive midfielders. I would probably play Onana with maybe a Tillemans. Tillemans is a player with a greater range of passing, so he could add something. He could be that deep line playmaker, so to speak, Christoph, which you were speaking about, that takes the ball off the defense and then allow that ball to progress forward, making some forward passes, fetch, turn, pass, so they may, Tillemans could possibly be a change which this Belgium team look to bring in going forward. He did make a substitute appearance, and you could definitely see where the game changed as a result of his introduction. Still not good enough to get an equalizer, but we could see chances being created and a better progression as you spoke about earlier. But Christoph, for me, the game of the tournament thus far, in my opinion, in terms of two quality teams really going head to head, is that France-Austria game. France, of course, running away 1-0 winners, courtesy of an own goal. But again, that victory, Christoph, came at a price. We saw the big man, Mbappe, going down, seemingly like he broke his nose. Big injury there. Big injury.
I mean, he did break his nose, but I'm not sure it's a case where that's going to prevent him from playing the next game.
Well, I
We might
mean,
we might see him
I
playing with a
injury like
face
that.
mask.
Well, possibly, but I mean, I'm sure he won't be the same player. Those kind of injury do have some sort of psychological bearing on one's performance. But for me, Christoph, this was a very tactical game, and I must say credit to both coaches. Ragnick of Austria really came with a game plan versus this French team and really neutralized them to a large degree while also carving out a few chances themselves. And to me, I was very impressed with these two teams. My money is definitely on Austria finishing as one of the better third place teams going forward. They, to me, Christoph, could possibly be a dark horse in this competition.
Um, yeah, definitely this Austrian team does look better than I had first anticipated. The ex-Manu man, Ralph Ranick, doing a very good job with them.
Definitely,
Ah,
I must say I was totally impressed by the sort of pressing which he brought to this French unit. Really impressive. Hats off to him. I was definitely blown away by the level of coaching and the quality of the gameplay I saw from Austria against a quality team such as the French. If not for that own goal, Christoph, this could have
mhm.
easily been a nil-nil draw.
I think it's a case for France where Didier Deschamps took too long, I think, to try and effect some changes in that game. But I think it was a case of him not wanting to disrupt what he was seeing happening on the field in order to give Austria maybe a lucky goal or a consolation goal as a result of the system being disrupted. I think he should have made changes earlier. I think he should have probably dropped maybe Thuram or Osman Dembele earlier. Bring on Juru, who would occupy the central defenders one and two, and then you would free up Mbappe, Thuram, and Griezmann altogether.
Hmm. Interesting tactic there for sure. Interesting tactic indeed. I was in fact surprised that Turam got the start. I think a player like a Coman might have been a better option because oftentimes Turam plays through the middle, which is what we actually saw taking place. On the graphic when the game was starting, we saw Mbappe through the middle. But in reality, when the game started, it was more of an interchangeability. Mbappe starting through the middle, but then going right side. And at one point, we saw him going left side as well. And it was one of those plays on the right where he beat the defender to the line, made a cross, and then out of desperation, a defender trying to clear the ball inadvertently headed into the back of his own net. And at that point in time, it was 1-0 to France. But Austria did not allow their heads to drop. They still came at this French team and really held their own. In all honesty, Christoph, again, I was very impressed with the level of their performance. And it will take some doing, in my opinion, to really beat this Austrian team. So I do believe they have enough quality and enough tactical approach, as we saw from the coach, to really go to the next round and really make some noise in these Euros. I think they will be one of those dark horse teams which, manage to get themselves to a quarter or even to a semi-final. What says you?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll make it all the way to the semi-final. The potential they have shown that they have the potential to do that. In this first game, but there's still two other games to be played. So anything is possible at the moment.
Many
Uh,
rivers to cross.
Somewhat. France have gotten the win. Netherlands have gotten the win. So
But again, I am keeping one eye on that injury, Christoph. I think this could be potential start of the derailing of this French team. Mbappe injury could have a destabilizing effect on this team, possibly. Just putting it out there, but uh we'll have to see how he reacts to this injury going forward. But of course,
Um,
looking ahead, go ahead, Christoph.
no, I was just saying, given this injury, we could potentially see a case where Mbappe will be shifted out to the wing and Giroud will start up front. As a result, in order to kind of protect him and kind of protect his face from any further. I think that's what we'll see going
Or
forward for the remainder.
he could possibly miss the next game and possibly try to heal up to make an appearance in the second round as well. That's another option.
I
Because
don't think he
why?
misses the next game. Not the next game. He
Well,
he he's most like tell you what, he will play the next game. Let's say France wins that next game, then I
right,
think
and
he misses the
qualified
third
then.
game.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think he's going to miss that second game.
Well, it could possibly the severity of the injury could possibly dictate that, in all
I
honesty.
I mean it looked awful to me. There was a lot of blood, but I don't think he's going to allow it to make him miss that game.
Well, sometimes it's not even that it allows you to miss. You may play, but you may be ineffective in your play. I mean, as I said, sometimes these injuries have a psychological impact on you. For example, look at Jimenez. Ever since that head injury when he was playing for Wolves, he has not been the same player. Anyone watching football would see that Jimenez, the Mexican who was playing for Wolves, got that nasty head injury, have not been the same player. Same thing with Peter Cech from Chelsea, Christoph,
No,
who
but
got a
those were outright head injuries.
Mm. Well, I
They
mean,
took hits to the head. The brains were rattled. All right,
uh,
this is a
well,
while the nose is on the head, but this is a
right?
nose injury. Right,
Mm,
this is not a case of Mbappe suffering some brain trauma.
right.
At least
But
I don't think so. I don't think so
well,
because
hopefully,
we
as I
don't know
said,
what happened.
we definitely wish him all the best and a speedy recovery indeed. And hopefully, it doesn't have that tremendous of an negative impact on this French team. But looking ahead now, Christoph, looking ahead now, we have two games coming up tomorrow. We will see Portugal versus the Czech Republic and also Turkey versus Georgia. So quickly, Christoph, I mean, what are you expecting in this Portugal versus Czech Republic game?
I think it could turn out to be a game tighter than potentially expecting. Probably because people might say, Czech will probably play like a team with nothing to lose, in my opinion, and that could cause problems for Portugal. On the other hand, we have the potential issues for Portugal. I think they're a very strong, very well balanced team. It's just a matter of how exactly they will utilize Cristiano Ronaldo. Um, I think, even since the last World Cup, there's been a lot of disrespect shown to Ronaldo. Personally, getting dropped last World Cup. I mean, we saw Ramos come on and start that game and score a hat trick. Brilliant for him. But after that, we didn't see anything, to be honest. So, you know, long
That
term, what was the effect of dropping Cristiano Ronaldo? We know Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes does not seem to have that chemistry, so to speak, despite playing together at Man United. I think I think Bruno Fernandes is one of Portugal's best player, but I think they need to sort out that link up play with Ronaldo. Ronaldo will score you goals if opportunity is created for him. He gets chance and goal, he will score. He is the greatest goal scorer football has ever seen. But it's just how they utilize him in that game, and he will also draw defenders. So I think he is a I mean he does not want to play like that. He doesn't want to be the one who is going to be sacrificed for others to score, obviously. But I think Portugal's strongest strength is utilizing Ronaldo, either for goals or either for pulling defenders out of position. Um, I
definitely.
think I think Portugal, like I said, is has the potential to win this tournament. It's just what they do.
So give us your scoreline then, Christoph. What's your predicted scoreline for this one?
I think this will be like a 2-1.
2-1 in favor of Portugal.
Yeah.
And what of the Turkey-Georgia game? What's your scoreline in that game?
I think that's a difficult game to call, to be honest. Uh, I'm going to go with it being 3-2 to Turkey.
3-2 to Turkey. So you're expecting a high scoring game in that one then, Christoph.
I am, yeah.
Yes, indeed. It's definitely going to be all eyes on Portugal, all eyes on that team in terms of how the coach managed to utilize all these talented players. Can he find the right balance? I think that is the biggest challenge that Martinez is now faced with as the Portugal man in charge. And it will be interesting to see how Ronaldo fits in with this team and can the team chemistry be maintained and indeed take that chemistry onto the field and produce results. So definitely that is what I will be most interested in watching looking forward. But lots of games coming up, viewers and subscribers. The Euros continues in earnest on the weekend as well. And of course, the Copa America kicking off over there in the United States on Thursday. I believe that first game should see Argentina versus Canada, if memory serves me correct. That one coming up on Thursday. So lots of football, lots of action. But you can always join us here on Beating the Press podcast to keep you up to date on the happenings both in the Euros as well as in the Copa America. So going forward, our next podcast, we should be taking a deep dive into the Copa America and continuing with our commentary on what's going on over there in the Euros. But Christoph, thanks again for coming on board and really sharing your opinions and your thoughts. But any final words from you quickly, Christoph?
I think not the Copa, the Euros has um been interesting so far. Not for the big teams per se, but a lot of the teams that you weren't expecting much from have been overperforming, so to speak, and could potentially have the opportunity to create some mix-ups. Potentially us seeing a new winner of the Euros. But hard to say at this time. But they will have a big effect on the upcoming games.
Definitely no game can be taken lightly in this Euros, is what I am gleaning from the games I've seen thus far. Any card can play, anything is indeed possible. But there you have it, viewers and subscribers. Thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Continue to help us to grow by liking, leaving your comments, and of course, if you haven't subscribed as yet, feel free to do so. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.